All right, viewers, we have been getting you the latest from Nepal. Remember, Nepal has banned 26 social media sites, including X, WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Oli government has cited failure to register under the new rules as the reason behind this decision. Remember, the Nepalese Prime Minister said that his government is not against social media platforms, but against their arrogance and belittling of the country. In fact, Prime Minister Oli added that for a year, the government had been asking social media networks to register under the new regulations and be accountable, but there was no compliance on part of these companies. Now, massive protests have broken out in Nepal over the government's decision to ban the 26 social media platforms. Thousands of youngsters, as you can see in the visuals, including journalists, have taken to streets to protest against this decision. Angry protesters, in fact, breached the Nepalese parliament complex as well a short while back. They demolished a portion of the boundary wall of the parliament complex, is what the local media is reporting. We're also getting in reports of one person having been killed and several others who have been injured as this demonstration intensifies in Nepal over the ban on the social media sites. At least 20 people are reportedly injured, and they are receiving treatment at a trauma center and hospitals. All right, let me go across to my colleague Rishabh, who has been tracking the situation that is unfolding in Nepal. Rishabh, as we speak, these massive protests continue in Kathmandu and nearby areas. What's the latest that you're hearing as far as this situation is concerned?
Well, what we're given to understand right now that the protesters, about 12,000 to 15,000 protesters, have taken to the streets of Kathmandu, and in the power center, the parliament, the prime minister's enclave, the cabinet minister's residences and their offices are being cleared out by these protesters. The protesters have even breached the Parliament of Nepal. Occupy Madhighar is the call that has been given. Remember, this starts from 2011 in New York, and such protest has gone worldwide. We have seen similar protests happening in Sri Lanka as well as in Dhaka in Bangladesh as well. Both the places we saw how things turned unruly. And given the precedence that such protests have, the visuals that are coming in from Kathmandu looks very, very serious. As of now, there is no statement that has come in from the government after the protest broke out. But before that, we heard KP Sharma Oli, we heard other leaders from the ruling coalition as well. They all say that these protests are misled, and the major reason for the social media ban was because the social media companies, 26 of these platforms, including X, Facebook, LinkedIn and other important, including TikTok, has been banned because they were not complying with the rules and regulations of Nepal. But the protesters say otherwise. They say that because the youngsters were now putting out their opinion on government and were calling out government for corruption, for misgovernance, for nepotism, for favoritism in the government, in government bodies, in academic institutions, as well as even municipal corporations for that matter. And that's the reason that the social media was banned. And now all these issues have been, has come together, and the protesters have hit the ground. The Gen Z, as they're calling themselves, all these protesters are between the age of 18 to 26 is what we're given to understand. One protester, as per our local colleague in Nepal, Ayub Hussain, named Mohan, has been killed since morning in the protest. It's been 7 hours since the protests are ongoing, and the protesters, the number of protesters only swell with every crossing hour.
That's right, Rishabh. As we speak, they're only swelling, they're only increasing, and they are blaming the government for the kind of situation that we are witnessing. Remember, these protests, is not something that has not been seen in the country. Nepal has seen several protests earlier as well. But this time around, the frustration perhaps was more among the youngsters. Specifically, it started with how they accused the government of indulging in rampant corruption. They blamed the Prime Minister for using government money, for using public money to aid his own family. They also questioned why public infrastructure doesn't long for a very long time, doesn't, hold on for a very long time, whether it's bridges or flyovers. And that is where this entire trigger happened. Add to that, of course, social media ban of 26 platforms That has only added to the frustration. Youngsters are now saying that this has been banned only because we were voicing our opinions against the KP Sharma Oli government, and we were questioning the rampant corruption that prevails within the government of Nepal. The protesters also saying that we will not leave the streets of Kathmandu and nearby areas unless corruption is finished in this country. So a lot of anger, dramatic visuals that have come to the fore. They are still coming out of Kathmandu, as we are showing you. Curfew has been imposed in Kathmandu in several areas, including the residences of the Prime Minister, the Vice President, as well as the President. These, ladies and gentlemen, are live visuals. As you can see, look, there is a banner that they're holding saying Gen Z against corruption. It all started with this. Adding to this is the ban on the 26 social media platforms. Rishabh, you know, we're showing our viewers these live visuals that are emerging out of Kathmandu, and these Gen Z youngsters, they're holding massive, huge posters and banners that say Gen Z against corruption. So it started with that. The trigger was that. Add to that this entire ban on social media platforms disrupting their daily lives. And now we see youngsters, young professionals, journalists, small business owners even taking to the streets saying that you are only doing this because you want to hide your own corruption.
Well, definitely. See, when it comes to Nepal, the political system in Nepal, especially after the monarchy, has been an uphill task for Nepal. There have been prime ministers after prime ministers who have changed, who have come back to power, who has retained power, and have toppled the alliance partner to regain power as well. KP Sharma Oli is one of those examples. Between KP Sharma Oli and Prachand, they have been prime ministers one after another in last 6 to 7 years. The way things are happening. Foreign Minister is under attack for corruption. Their Home Minister is under attack for corruption. There have been allegations leveled against KP Sharma Oli and his family as well. The senior bureaucrats, senior diplomats of Nepal have been put under scanner by the journalists and investigative journalists in Nepal. The corruption is rampant, is what many suggest. The experts say that there hasn't been anything better, than the monarchy in Nepal. The democratic system has crumbled under the pressure from the alliance. The fractured mandate that they have got, not a single party till date has been able to achieve a majority in the House. The House has been suspended, has been dissolved a number of times in the last 2.5 decades. And the way things are happening in Nepal, now the people of Nepal are losing their patience, and that's what we are seeing. This all culminated into the protests that we are seeing since morning on the streets of Kathmandu.
That's right, Rishabh, and you made a very interesting point, that of Nepal trying to get stability, trying to have a stable civilian government post the monarchy. And earlier this year, if you remember, we had King Gyanendra come to Kathmandu and say, look, the monarchy should be back in Nepal because the government is unable to function. In fact, that time as well, there were violent protests that were seen in the country, and therefore, a lot of tussle there as well going on between the monarchy and the civilian government. That time as well, the Prime Minister had said and had asked the administration to arrest King Gyanendra.
Well, see, monarchy versus democratic setup has always been at loggerhead. And when it comes to KP Sharma Oli has been someone who has served 14 years of jail term for being against monarchy. He was also been seen as someone who was in favor of the armed rebellion of communists in Nepal. And once the monarchy was abolished and the political system came in, the democratic system came in, KP Sharma Oli and his colleagues came to mainstream politics. The Communist Party of Nepal was formed, who started contesting elections. Then came the time when none of the political parties could achieve the majority mark on their own. And Nepali Congress and Communist Party of Nepal came together to form government a number of times. We have seen Prachand being the Prime Minister. We have seen KP Sharma Oli being the Prime Minister. And there is a very clear divide in Nepal as well. Certain people do believe that what's happening right now the monarchy was better than this. Many suggest that monarchy and loyalists of monarchy have never allowed the democratic setup in Nepal to get stabilized. So there are fractured mandates, not only politically or electorally, but also ideologically in Nepal. And that's why the stability is definitely something which is an important thing which Nepal hasn't been able to achieve as of now.
That's right, Rishabh.
इस देश में नेपाल में जो करप्शन जो भ्रष्टाचारी जताभावी युवालाई मारिदिने गोली ठोकिदिने यस्ता किसिमको यस्ता जो क्रियाकलाप हो रहा है उसके विरोध में अब जेनजी पुस्ता एक नया मोमेंट क्रिएट करके अपने देश नेपाल को बचाने के लिए तो अपना भविष्य अच्छा बनाने के लिए और हर एक ठाव में नेपाल के बहुत स्थान से रास्ते पर सड़क पर उतर रहे हैं और जब तक हमारा मांग संबोधन नहीं होगा, जब तक कुछ भ्रष्टाचारियों को अपना पद अपना स्टेटस राजीनामा देकर इस देश छोड़ के नहीं भागेगा, जब तक हम सड़क पर रहेंगे।
तो आप लोग का जो अभी का प्रदर्शन है तो फेसबुक, ट्विटर, यूट्यूब बंद है, इसके लिए प्रदर्शन है कि जो करप्शन के लिए प्रदर्शन है?
खास में ये जो इनिशिएशन लिया है ना सरकार ने, फेसबुक बंद करके उसके बाद यूट्यूब बंद करके, ये सब है ना जो मतलब एक करप्शन है उसको छुपाने के लिए, करप्शन को और बढ़ावा देने के लिए सरकार ने ऐसा किया है।
हाम्रो मूलत माग भनेको चाहिँ सरकारले सामाजिक सञ्जाल जस्तो प्लेटफर्म 26 वटा प्लेटफर्म चाहिँ बन्द गरेर नागरिकको आवाज प्रतिबिम्बित हुने आवाजलाई चाहिँ बन्द गर्न खोजेको विरुद्ध चाहिँ हाम्रो आन्दोलन हो एउटा। तर यो मात्र होइन, सरकारले के गर्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ सामाजिक सञ्जाल बन्द गरेर आफ्नो यो भ्रष्टाचारको चाहिँ अनुहार बन्द हुन्छ भन्ने ठान्यो। तर यो भ्रष्टाचारको श्रृङ्खलामा डुबेको सरकार, काण्डले भरिएको सरकारले चाहिँ गरिरहेको उपद्रव चाहिँ हामीले अब देखेर बस्न सक्दैनौँ। हाम्रो प्लेटफर्म जहाँबाट हामी खबरदारी गरिरहेको त्यो त बन्द गरे अब सडकमा उत्रिनुपर्छ भने सडकमा उत्रेको हो। र मूलत हाम्रो माग हो भ्रष्टाचारीहरूलाई खोरमा हाल्नुपर्छ। हाम्रो व्यवस्था अन्तर्गत जुन विधिको शासन लागू गर्नुपर्छ, विधिको शासनलाई तत्काल लागू गरिनुपर्छ। र तेस्रो भनेको चाहिँ युवा जेनजी पुस्ताहरूलाई चाहिँ राजनीतिक हिसाबमा, सामाजिक हिसाबमा, आर्थिक हिसाबमा र अन्य हिसाब सांस्कृतिक हिसाबबाट चाहिँ उनीहरूलाई संरक्षण गर्ने र उनीहरूलाई अगाडि बढाउन सरकारको नीति हुनुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ माग हो।